How is everybody? The fact that this many people stuck around for a closing keynote is incredible. I'm the last guy you have to listen to before you get to go to Disneyland, so let's do this. We can do it. I see that. I'm wearing the same glasses as this guy, I think, so we're all in a safe space here. So like he said, my name's Matt McAllister. I want to start this by saying that I love marketing, so let's get that out of the way. We're cheering on the last day, y'all. This is going to be a good session. I love marketing. I have led marketing teams in healthcare, commercial real estate, media for a short stint, spent the last few years in tech, and then all amongst that, I co-founded a digital agency. So again, I love marketing. Let's make that very clear. I love that we solve big problems with creativity. I love that we touch every aspect of the business. I really love that we're the bridge between business, brands, and humans. That's really important to me. So I love marketing, but so a few years ago, I found that I was engaging or absorbing less marketing and advertising than I had in the beginning stages of my career. I was spending less time on Ad Week. I was spending less time watching great campaign videos. I was spending less time reading case studies. At that same time, I was also spending more time generally laughing at other marketing strategies or making fun of them. I was spending more time unsubscribing from emails, and it was this eye-opening moment. One particular moment, I'll tell you the story. This software company had been trying to sell me this piece of software for a few months. I had told them no several times. And I walked into my office one day, and they had mailed me a drone, an actual drone. The catch was this. I could not get the remote to control the drone unless I agreed to have a meeting with them. I'm already seeing people shaking their head in the audience. This is fantastic. So this drone served as, it sat on my desk for a few weeks, and my entire team, our entire marketing department, for several weeks would walk by, point, laugh. We'd all have a great time making fun of this, at best, ineffective, at worst, laughable marketing strategy, which was take the person who's told you they don't want your product and send them a freaking drone. This opened my eyes, though. The longer this drone sat on my desk, it kind of served as this thing that I could look at, and I started to realize that I had been absorbing less, making fun of more, ignoring more myself, and I am a marketer, as somebody who made it very clear one slide ago that loves marketing. There seemed to be a brokenness to that. That if I was laughing at marketing, how many people were out there in the world laughing at my emails? How many people were rolling their eyes at the Instagram ad they had to scroll through? How many people were making fun of my efforts, what I was trying to do? How many people just outright despised it? This made me question everything. I asked, is marketing even useful to the world? Does marketing do more bad than good? Should we just accept the fact that people generally dislike what we do for a living? It got real existential. So I've spent the last few years of my career really digging into that, really thinking about where marketing is, where it's come from, where marketing could be. Can we change this? Do we have an opportunity to be the generation of marketers, this room full of marketers, who can really shape what marketing is and how we can make it different? And not just because marketers love to be different and we love change, but because it's a necessity, because it's something that we have to do. So if we're going to turn it around, we've got to figure out how we got here. This term started as a meditation exercise for me. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. It's almost our fault, but it's not all our fault. Two real things. There's a ton of change that has happened in marketing. I'm not going to spend time on that because we're all social marketers. You're my favorite people in the world. We know that there's a ton of change that's happened. Two big things. First is that marketing is now expected and held accountable for creating revenue, for ROI, for ROAS, for all these fun, beautiful terms. That's a positive change to me. That's a great thing. So that change over the last, call it, decade or so, that marketing, all marketing, and you social marketers know almost better than anyone, that marketing has to be held accountable for revenue, has to contribute to bottom line. The other big change is the explosion of channels, of tech, of ways to reach people. So we as marketers found ourselves in a position where the demands made to us had changed, and we had more opportunities to get in front of people. So when we were presented with a goal, because we're all overachievers, we want to hit that goal, the easiest way to do that was to do more, was to serve more ads. This is a well-documented, people are seeing more ads than ever, the typical thing. We know that people are seeing a ton of ads and we're responsible for delivering them, and we had to, or we felt like we had to, because we were also being held accountable for something that for generations before us, marketers had not been held accountable for. If we got enough eyeballs, at least a few would convert, and then we'd have done our job. So I've heard this quote from marketers, from all kinds of people, and this kind of sums up this feeling right here for me. I've heard several people say, man, if we just get one conversion out of this effort, it's worth the spend. I'll repeat that, because I want us to think about what that is. If we get one conversion out of this effort, it is worth the time, the money. Is it also worth the amount of people that we served this thing to that didn't convert because it didn't benefit them? That's what we've got to change. So while it's not entirely our fault, it is our responsibility. As the pendulum has swung more towards the science of marketing, which again is not a bad thing, it has made us view the world through a lens of metrics over humans. And that is kind of the situation we find ourselves now. When we talk about who we're reaching, who we're marketing to, oftentimes we're talking more about the metrics than the humans. I believe that it gets really, really hard in that view of the world to stand up as a marketing leader or stand up as a marketer in general and say, what kind of experience did we just create for the 99.7% of people who didn't click my display ad while we're celebrating the 0.03% who did? Because we desperately needed that 0.03% of clicks. That's the situation we find ourselves in. We have the best position to change it. So we control what humans see. Like I said earlier, we're the bridge between brands and humans. It is our job for the future of marketing. It is our responsibility as marketers for the future to be the ones who can stand up and fight for that experience, to be the ones who can say, let's change how humans perceive what we do for a living, because I don't want to be the pariah of society for the rest of my career. So it is our responsibility. So in this existential questioning of everything I've ever done in my life, in this questioning of whether I had value to the planet in any way. You can picture the montage of me gazing longingly out of windows at this time. I tried to hold myself to two key beliefs. And in this section of time, which I remember like it was yesterday, I told myself you should question everything around you, but these two key beliefs are the constants. The first we talked about, marketing should impact revenue. Here's why. If marketing wants to achieve success, and if marketing wants to survive, we have to impact business for two reasons. One, the ultimate sign of solving a human's problem is that they purchase. The ultimate sign of marketing success is that we served something to somebody in a way that solved the problem they had so that they were willing to pull out $1 or $2 of their hard-earned money and pay for it. Now, we could argue that all day long. There's plenty of purchases that we could argue about whether they should make or not. But at the end of the day, that is a sign of success for the person that we marketed to. It means we hit the right person with the right thing at around the right time. The other side of this is why marketing should impact revenue is that as a marketing leader, if I want to influence products, if I want to influence people, if I want to influence business, I have to impact it. If I want to have a seat at the table to talk about the overall business, about what direction we're going in, if I want to have a seat at the table to fight for the voice of the humans we're marketing to, then I have to impact the business. And the way to do that is by driving revenue. Second key belief, often conflicts with the first belief. This first belief alone puts us in the same position that we were at. This second belief is the one that fights for the human over the business. Because the reality of our situations, and we could all look at ourselves and nod knowingly at this, is that there's always a demand for more. We are always combating a demand internally for more. If your goals have ever gone down quarter over quarter or year over year, God bless you. Where do you work? If you've ever been asked, we had enough traffic last year. Like, how do we do less? God bless you. You guys are doing fantastic. We're always combating more. If you have a relationship with any executive at any company, not even just yours, how many times do they come up to you and say, I saw our competitor was doing this. Why aren't we doing that? It happens all the time. So this demand for more is something that we have to combat as the voice, as the combator, as the defender of the human. So my 51% rule means this, that if I as a marketer am going to put something into the world, it must benefit at least 51% of the people who see it. And it directly conflicts with my first belief, and it's really, really hard. But it is the thing that counterbalances that first belief, so that if I say I'm fighting for the future of marketing, I am doing my best to know that marketing will exist and not be all clickbait in the next 40 years, that this is the thing that will do it. If we continue to spam for KPIs, or spam is an aggressive word, I know that. If we continue to be everywhere because we can, those KPIs will be harder and harder to get. My favorite slide from the last presentation is the one she threw up of all of the platforms, and we know there will be 10 more tomorrow, and there will be 10 more the day after that. Why do you think there are so many inventions of places for brands to be? It is because engagement is going down on the other ones. So if we continue to keep doing that, we're going to have to invent a new ad channel every year for our stuff to be seen. That is not the direction we should go, in my opinion. So it's important for us to know this. The bubble's not bad. We're all in a bubble. If you're in this conference, you're in a bubble, and that's okay. We generally care more about marketing than most normal humans, and that's okay. But it is valuable to force ourselves outside of the bubble as often as we can. It becomes a competitive disadvantage if you can't, on a regular basis, out loud and regularly say to yourself, to your teams, to the people around you, we're in a bubble. We care more than the average human does. Because if you're not doing that, you're marketing to marketers. You're not marketing for humans. We all know this. Again, I'm hopefully not blowing any minds with this statement, but I do think it's a practice that we've got to get better at, is in our meetings, is with our groups, is in our teams, raising our hands and saying, okay, we're going to approach this meeting knowing we're in the bubble. Okay? We're in a bubble. We've got to fight to push ourselves out of it. Best way to do that, no crazy strategy here. Talk to humans who aren't marketers. Talk to them about marketing. And this doesn't need to be a well-thought-out, well-planned customer listening tour necessarily. Talk to your friends' family. If you've got sales teams, talk to them. They're fantastic people to talk to. Talk to people who don't care about marketing, because it is fascinating, shocking, and sometimes very disappointing when you talk about your favorite campaign versus what they noticed about marketing. They talk about the things that impacted them that they remember versus the things that we engage with because we are in this bubble. So let's embrace the bubble. It's important to think like normal humans, and this is what we should strive to be. Personally, this is something I struggle with. My identity is often wrapped up in what I do, what my skills and strengths are, and I will introduce myself as, hi, I'm Matt, I do marketing. I need to become, and we all need to push to be humans that market as opposed to marketers that are human. And that is getting outside of this bubble. We will never be great marketers in the future if we can't say that we fight for humans first and are marketers second. And I promise you that's going to make you a significantly better marketer to begin with. All right, so that's my soapbox. It's a tall one. It's one I will happily talk about for hours, but I'm limited in time by Brianna, luckily. So off the slides into real life. So 3 months ago, I moved from Austin, Texas to San Francisco, California. I left a great job at a great company, trying really hard to do really great work, to join a small company that you've never heard of, Loop Commerce, mission to whatever he said. That's a great mission statement. That's the first time I'd heard it. That was recently acquired by a significantly larger company that you've maybe heard of. They had never hired a marketing person. They had never done any real marketing before they hired me, and this was my case study. If I had this belief, if I'd spent these last few years really cultivating this idea, could I leave a conference stage and have an opportunity to build a marketing department, a marketing function from scratch in a way that takes some of this and challenges it? Because there's a ton that needs to be challenged in this presentation. Is it possible for me to actually build something that is human-friendly, that does follow the 51% rule? So this is my case study. So 3 months is not a ton of time to give you guys full results. I want to talk to you a bit about what I've learned, though. I was conservative, so I wasn't sure. It's fucking hard, y'all. I'm from Texas. I'll say y'all every now and then. This is the largest challenge I have faced in my career. We have demands that are made of us as marketers. When I said I love it because we touch all aspects of the business, that's also one of the biggest challenges we face. is that we are required to be the voice of the human in branding. We're required to be the voice of the human in our direct response. We're required to work with product teams, with sales teams. We're required to equip our executives to speak on behalf of our companies. We are expected to do so much, and we are also expected to follow that first belief, which is contribute to revenue. There is so much going on, and we are moving so fast. This is really, really hard. Because what this takes, and I know what you guys are thinking in your head, because I would think the same thing if I was sitting and listening to me, is, yeah, this is really high and philosophical. This is cool. Yeah, we want to fight for humans, clap ourselves on the back. It's going to be tough to walk back into my office tomorrow, next week, and do that. It is hard. At my company, I was hired to take this company. It's a smaller company, acquired, great acquisition, a lot of potential in this product. I was hired to take them from point A to point, call it LMNOP, and the goals are huge. The goals are scary. It is necessary, facing the goals we are facing, to hit the ground running as fast as we possibly can. That would generally mean that I step in, flip the switch to turn everything on, and see if we can produce some fast results by just scale. Like, let's be there. Let's be out there, and let's see if we can produce some activity. That's generally what that would mean. That is not what the 51% rule, that is not what human-friendly marketing looks like. So while I'm thinking about building team, establishing a plan, building a budget, PR strategy, event strategy, content, social strategy, anybody want to move to San Francisco, talk to me later. How do I also take the time necessary to think through every single tactic, to think through every single thing that we're doing, and measure it against my two key beliefs? Because essentially that's what it takes, is time. It's really, really hard to look a CEO in the eye and say, we're not going to do that best practice. We're not going to do the thing that our competitors are doing. We're not going to do the thing that you did at your last company. And he's going to say, why? And you're going to say, well, I have a hunch that people don't really like it. That's really, really hard. It's really hard. But we've got to do it. When I think about taking the easy route out, not worrying about my second key belief, I think about what will marketing look like in 20, 30, 40 years. What is the future of marketing? If we look at what marketing looked like 20 years ago versus now, very different. Obviously, we know that things are changing quickly. Are they changing for the positive? In some cases, absolutely. In other cases, they are also absolutely changing for the negative in the experience of humans. If we don't do something now, how soon am I going to have to leave marketing before I don't feel like I am just spamming society enough to achieve 3 purchases for every 47 eye rolls? That's why this is hard, but to me personally, it's necessary. And it's something that we sign up in social. I'll do my pandering slide next, but you as social marketers, we have an opportunity here at stake, not just to influence our businesses, not just to influence our brands, not just to fight for the humans we market to, but to raise a generation of marketers who thinks beyond, what do my KPIs look like? How do I produce enough clicks here? What are my metrics on this dashboard that I can look at? But are actually talking about the humans behind those metrics, that are actually thinking about the 99% of the people who didn't interact alongside the small number of people that did interact. That's what the next generation of marketers needs to be thinking about, and we are the ones who are responsible for raising that generation. So again, pandering slide here. But I have actually built my career on social's potential. Outside of content creation, social was the first thing I fell in love with as a marketer, and the digital agency we co-founded was largely built on taking what you might call traditional industries and showing them what social is capable of doing for them, how the conversations they're missing out on, all the good stuff that you guys know about. I think social has the best opportunity, and social marketers have the best opportunity to lean into this, because social in and of itself is where behavior is happening, human behavior is happening. And social marketing as a whole is us integrating into human behavior, as opposed to other channels, especially other digital channels, where we are trying to force an action that's different. Let's compare display ads. I will try to be nice to display ads. If you're reading an article, your natural human behavior is to read the article and then go somewhere else or read another article. A display ad is asking you to read the article and then forcing you out of that behavior to hopefully click on something that you weren't intending to. The beauty of social, in my perspective, is that as humans, when we're on social, when I'm quickly scrolling through Instagram, what am I there to see? I'm there to see stories, something my friends are doing or my connections are doing and taking an immediate action. A like or a keep scroll or click through to look at their profile, whatever that might be. We as marketers are doing something very similar on those channels. We are telling a story and hoping for a quick action, an immediate action. That could be a like, that also could be a click through to a landing page. So we are integrating into human behavior, which is a positive. That is a great first step. So to me, that is why brands that solve humans' problems are great on social. The brands that we think about that are human-friendly, probably because you're interacting with them on social. So social marketers have the responsibility on their shoulders even more than the average marketer to say, hey, let social lead the way, but how do we bring everyone else alongside us? How do we make sure that we're integrating everything we do into human behavior where it's happening, as opposed to asking for a different behavior, as opposed to asking you, stop what you're doing, you want to buy this? Because that's what's happening on many other channels. Second thing, I'll walk you through a quick, I'm already like over time, am I? Great. So we're going to walk through this quick. Here's the 3-step. We're going to talk about audience, content, and distribution. So audience first. It's the most important thing because we talk about humans. We have to know what those humans are, who those humans are. I think traditionally, when I've started to think about this, is we've actually gone about selecting our audiences, personas, segments, whatever you want to call them, your people, the humans. We've gone about selecting them backwards. We have talked about as marketing leadership, as executives, we've sat in rooms and said, who's most capable of buying from us? Who has the means to buy from us? And how do we target those people? Because if we annoy them enough, they have the means to do it. As opposed to, who are the people that most value the solution that we offer? Now, in many cases, that is the same group. And sometimes they are not. They are vastly different. In my company situation, we have a very new product, hasn't really been created before. We would love to market to and sell to large retail corporations with tons of money because we know that they have the teams to execute it and the money to pay for it, and that's fantastic, and we'd all throw confetti in the air and celebrate ourselves. The reality of the situation is the more smaller digital-first brands are more likely to interact with us and find value in our product, even if they are not the ones who are most capable of buying it right now. How do we combat that? How do we think about who we select as our audience? So one thing, they're tech, MarTech, AdTech, tech. There's so much of it right now. For the most part, I think it can create an interruption, almost a gate between marketing and human. I will say that the tech that I've seen that really digs into intent, what humans out there are actually showing interest in your product, your type of product, your solution that you offer, those are really interesting to me right now. If you're a B2B marketer, we call that analytics, predictive analytics, where we actually see the humans that are engaging in the solutions that we offer, not just our product, but the solutions in general. And that gives us a target of people that we can tell about our solution because we're confident that they're shopping for it, they want it, they need it. So if you have an opportunity, invest in intent. If we can recognize intent, that means that we're not guessing on what humans to talk to. Instead, we're providing a solution that these people are looking for. Content. So we're gonna not talk about the forms content might take. We're gonna talk about the topics. What are we telling? So we've got to stop telling them about our product features, and we've got to start telling them more about what our features do for them. I think we all know that. That is a very highbrow way of saying how content should be formed. But I will say I'm currently rereading Ogilvy on Advertising. Anybody read that? Great book. David Ogilvy wrote it in 1983. Here's his statement on consumer research that leads to consumer copywriting. Find out how they think about your kind of product, what language they use when they discuss the subject, what attributes are important to them, and what promise would be most likely to make them buy from your brand. So here's a content practice I want us to try. If you were to ask a customer, why did you purchase? Why did you invest? Why did you engage? Why did you take an action with us? Would their response match the content that you were giving to them? Are they different? If so, why? How large is the separation? In many cases, we want to tell our customers or our potential customers something, but they want to know something different. We have an idea of what is the value that we offer and what we have an idea on why you should buy, but the people who are buying might be buying for a slightly different reason. So how we choose content topics should be centered around what they want to know, and I think the presentation before me had a great slide on that as well. Stories are a second part. This is a social media conference. I'm sure stories have been mentioned often, and I think I've said it like 5 times in this session. I think we talk about stories too generally. I think I only care about a story if it's appealing to me. So you could tell me this fantastic brand campaign story that's entertaining, and that's great, and stories are important, and that's fantastic. But if you knew what humans cared and could deliver something that would solve that human's problem, in reality a group of humans, I don't necessarily need to be entertained as much as I need my problem solved. I don't need to necessarily be entertained as much as I need my need met. And if you do that, a story makes me notice you. That's great. A story makes me notice you. If you solve my problem or meet my need, I'd be irresponsible not to pay attention because you were doing something that I need at that point. How it's delivered matters. This is the distribution side. This is the specialty of the people in this room. We can have great humans that we know desperately need the solution we offer. We can create great content, but if we don't distribute it well, obviously it's like having a best-selling novel that sits on your desk and you expect it to make an impact. Channel selection, this is the hardest part for me. As a marketing leader and someone who attempts to be an analytical thinker from time to time, it makes a lot of sense for me, especially if we have great content and great targeting, to put it everywhere and let's see what works. Let's see what happens. Maybe, although I hate display is the way to go. If I combat that against the 51% rule, it becomes a really tough thing to hold myself accountable for. So expectations, I think, are the future of digital marketing. This is, again, nothing new, but something we need to force ourselves into start thinking about. If someone is expecting to hear what you have to say, to hear the topic you're talking about, in that place where they're at, they are more likely to engage, it's more likely to add value and to benefit them and to hit that 51% belief. Presentation before this talked about meeting people where they're at, and that is fantastic. That is exactly what we need to be doing. The next step beyond that is meeting people where they're at and joining the conversation that's happening there. Instead of, again, we'll pick on display ads as we always do, forcing that separate behavior. How do we join the conversation? How do we find where these humans are expecting to hear what we have to say and meet them at that place to deliver that expected value? It's really, really hard to hit the 51% belief if we're not doing our best to do that. So this does not mean stop doing digital. It means that we have to consider distribution that fits the conversation we're trying to have with the humans we're talking to. I believe this is one of my biggest challenges. The best marketing leaders of the future will have to get out of our ivory towers where we make general decisions on strategy and general decisions on brand and general decisions on positioning. And we are going to have to dig into the day-to-day minutia of how every email impacts every human who's going to see it, of how every organic social post impacts every person who's going to see it, how every paid ad is going to interact with and impact every person who sees it. The best marketers of the future are going to have the ability to step in and say yes or no, depending on the humans that will see that specific message, that specific part of marketing. And as we get better and as we get stronger, we're going to raise generations of marketers who also view marketing that way, so the marketing leaders of the future can step back and start thinking more about positioning and strategy and overall brand growth. But marketing leaders right now have a responsibility to dig into every single thing we're doing, because your social strategy could be fantastic. What does it matter if you're emailing those same people and interrupting their day? That's the power we have, and distribution to me is very important in that. So in 3 months, I have failed a ton. In 3 months, not everything we're doing follows the 51% rule, but we're working on it. It is a conversation we're having. In 3 months, I've had to sit our CEO down many, many times and tell him essentially what I've just told you. Like, here's why I'm here, here's what I believe in. In 3 months, I've had to have a lot of conversations where I've asked people, how does this impact the humans that we're talking to? And they will say, well, enough of them I think will like it, that we'll gain value from it. And our response always has to be, well, what about the ones that won't? In 3 months, we've done our best to start to build a human-friendly marketing program. We've doubled pipeline. We've had some of the best companies in our space start to reach out to us as opposed to the other way around, which hadn't happened before. But we've got a ton of work to do. We've got a ton of work to do. But the non-definitive results are positive. I'm happy with the direction. More importantly, I'm happy that I'm starting to have communication, starting to have conversations with other marketers, with my company, with other companies, saying, what are we doing to fight for the human experience for the future? So my dream is to be a marketer who every day fights for normal humans, who every single day questions what we're saying, where we're saying it, and who we're saying it to. The biggest thing we need to ask ourselves is, would a normal human care? If I can step outside of my bubble for 2 seconds, would a normal human care? If this generation, really if this room of marketers applies that focus, marketing becomes more valuable in the future. I believe marketing could contribute more to revenue. I believe engagement metrics will increase. I believe that we won't need to increase and invent 10 new ad channels every other day. I believe that we'll be able to create better experiences that makes us happier because we're delivering better experience to humans. I believe positive things can happen for the sake of humans if we as marketers take a step back and think desperately about the experiences that we're creating for the people who engage with our advertising. The key thing to note is I cannot change marketing from a conference stage. And I am certainly not smart enough to change marketing by myself. That's why I'm here talking to great, smart social marketers like you. I think we have a responsibility to connect with each other, to help each other, to talk to each other, to support each other, because if we really are in this for the right reasons, especially you social marketers, which is to create great experiences that we're talking to, so great that they're willing to engage and take an action with us, this is the way we've got to think in the future. So, if you guys agree, if you want to take this conference session and turn it into real action, I put my email up here. Happy to chat. Happy to talk about how we can change what marketing looks like for the next generation of marketers, because I believe we have the power to do it. Thank you.